Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Hawley, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Margaret Mitchell, and I'm here in my capacity as a computer scientist and researcher who has worked in the tech industry for over 10 years. My PhD is in natural language generation, once a niche area, but currently a topic of intense interest all over the world. As a student eating ramen at a state school in Washington, I couldn't imagine that my work would have the relevance that brings me here today. I've had the privilege of being a researcher at Microsoft and Google, and I'm currently Chief Ethics Scientist at AI startup Hugging Face. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with some of the world's brightest minds in pursuit of creating beneficial technology that can aid and assist people in their work and everyday lives. I began working on ethical AI around 2015 as neural networks began to show clear signs of working well for the tasks I cared about. While they could be used to provide beneficial technology, such as visual descriptions for people who are blind, they were entangled with a host of troubling issues. For example, the amount of data they required brought with it concerning questions for me about how the data was being collected and how data biases were being accounted for. These issues were difficult to address within the tech industry. It was too easy to overlook the connection between what we developed and the foreseeable harms to people once deployed. Too easy to gather more and more data while ignoring issues of consent, credit, and compensation. We were on a path of creating systems that we didn't fully understand, enabled by data sets that we hadn't critically analyzed, and motivated by evaluations that didn't critically engage with easily foreseeable contexts of use. When I joined Google in 2016, I was highly motivated to try and change this. One of the basic ideas I had was the role of foresight, of thinking through all the different ways a technology might evolve and using this to develop technology that's as beneficial as possible while mitigating foreseeable risks before they occur. But this type of thinking is difficult to incorporate into standard development practices where internal incentives push developers to launch new products quickly without productive collaboration across different ideas, viewpoints, and critiques. As I discussed these issues with my friends across the industry, it seemed this problem was common, present throughout large tech companies. Because of this, I realized that ethical AI practices could be more successful if I could turn those practices into launches. And so with my colleagues, we introduced model cards, launchable artifacts that incentivize thinking about technology's impacts, including documenting the intended use of a model and evaluating its performance across subpopulations that could foreseeably be subject to unfair treatment from an AI system. Part of my work on documentation and the role of critical thinking and foresight in development made it clear to me that there should be some amount of due diligence before a system is developed, such as research to inform predictions on what the system will be like by reviewing past literature and work from related fields. This motivated me to co-author a now famous paper called On the Dangers of Stochastic Parrots: Can Language Models Be Too Big? I've since continued my work, trying to understand gaps in AI development that overlook the impacts of the technology and developing methods to address them. I've taken on new challenges in understanding when systems might be more open or more closed, and now work at AI startup Hugging Face, a company focused on open science, where I operate in a culture of transparency and collaboration across different viewpoints, and for the first time, can go deeply into how the AI world I'm most familiar with connects to AI policy. My journey has made clear some of the ways that the government might be able to help shape AI development within the tech sector so that it may be positive for the public. Briefly, this involves filling key gaps in AI development practices and research, including 1, research on the relationships between model inputs and model outputs. 2, rigorous analysis of data, models, and systems. 3, implementing due diligence and foresight, including before development. And 4, operationalizing transparency in the AI lifecycle, including after deployment. Potential solutions primarily take 2 forms: federal research funding and requiring documentation and disclosure, and I echo my colleagues here in advocating for increased support for whistleblowing. I greatly appreciate the work that so many members of Congress, congressional staff, federal agencies, and my research and private sector colleagues are doing to advance the science and practice of ethical AI. I look forward to discussing these important topics with you today and welcome your questions.